So, as I was looking deeper into the missing children's incident, yes, that one from June 26th of a debatable year, I looked at the big picture that we had before FNAF 4, and it seems that with Sister Location and FNAF 6 and these new game releases and book releases, things have become less clear. The big picture has become blurrier, and there's a lot of conflicting information now, but I think it can be solved, and there is a clear answer, just it'll take some explaining. Because there's kind of evidence to say that MCI happens before the Bite of 83, during the week of the Bite of 83, and after the Bite happens. It's confusing, and I'd just like to clear it up for everybody who is watching. So I think it's good to lay the groundwork with what we know as concrete information about missing children's incident. First off, we know that it happens June 26th of a debatable year. I'm gonna say 83 for now, but that could be debated. Now, next, I think it's a good point to clarify when Charlotte dies. She isn't involved in the missing children's incident, but has an effect on it. And I'd like to say that she dies before MCI happens. Now, you might say that that's wrong because Chica's line,
I was the first. I have seen everything.
That isn't true. Susie saying that is likely the fact that she was the first of the missing children's incident kids and not specifically every murder. Also, Henry kind of confirms that Charlotte died before MCI, and then MCI happens in his FNAF 6 audio log.
It keeps me awake at night. I could make myself sleep, but not yet. Not until I undo what he has done and heal this wound. A wound first inflicted on me, but then one that I let bleed out to cause all of this.
First inflicted upon me seems to refer to Charlie being first murdered and then it bleeding out to cause the missing children's incident. The next thing we can be sure about is the total of 5 children lured to the back room and killed, involved in the missing children's incident. These children were Gabriel, Fritz, Susie, Jeremy, and Cassidy. I am almost certain that Cassidy is the 5th kid, as in Golden Freddy, and Bite victim being Golden Freddy is pretty dead at this point, with there being a 5th murdered kid. Bite victim was not at all involved in that instant. And we know it's 5 because of Foxy Go 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 and the Take Cake minigame. Something I'm also certain of is that missing children's incident happens almost all in one night, especially the night of June 26th. I've heard claims that MCI happens over 2 years, but that seems very unlikely with how William works. The missing children's incident spirits are always grouped together in every minigame we see. So with all that set up, let's talk about evidence to suggest that MCI happens before the bite, and it's specifically something that the Fredbear plush says in FNAF 4, and some details from the Midnight Motorist secret minigame. Now, what the Fredbear plush says in particular is, "No, don't you remember what you saw? You know it will happen if he catches you." These lines seem to imply that the crying child had seen someone do something involving being caught, and that seems to imply it's either Charlie's death or the missing children's incident. Another thing is something from Midnight Motorist, and this goes off of the idea that Orange Guy is William, okay? So it's the fact that he's turned away from the door at Junior's, and that would seem to imply that he's the suspect of some sort of murder or incident or something, okay? So he's turned away at Junior's, but when he goes home, the crying child is still alive, as seen by him running away to what's likely another Freddy's. So that would mean that MCI would have had to have taken place before the bite. And I think it might work to say that these instances are actually just Charlotte's death. Now, about the fact that MCI could happen during the bite, what I mean by during the bite is that it happens before the week during the week of the bite, and specifically after night 3, but before the bite happens, because of a certain 2 girls we see on the night 3 minigame. We see the toy girl with the bow in her hair, the pink shirt, and she's just got her toys. Now, she seemed pretty non-important back in FNAF 4, but with FNAF 6, it seems that she is actually Susie. If you look at their 2 designs, they are very similar in looks, and that would have to mean that, at least by the Night 3 minigame, Susie is still alive, and by knowing that she was the first of MCI, we can assume that it hasn't started yet. I believe that MCI likely happened on Night 4, the Night 4 minigame, where Crying Child is locked up in the supply room. So about the ending and the Fredbear plush, something to note is that during the whole game, the Fredbear plush's voice text color has been a yellow, which was hashtag FFFF57. This yellow was used up until the ending, where it changed to FFFFA0. Now, Scott did not fill this game with random Easter eggs. These things mean something, and wouldn't you know it, the newer, lighter yellow color is the same to the red pigtail girl. Now, what I see by this, I'm not specifically saying that she is that Fredbear plush in the ending, but what I'm thinking is that in that ending, that is the 5 missing kids, and that would mean that they died before the bite sometime. And what I mean by that the red pigtail girl is somehow her voice color is right there, she's probably the sibling of Cassidy, the 5th missing child, and that is the 4 plushies that symbolize the 4 kids, and then Cassidy's Golden Freddy. I don't think the puppet is the one talking in the end, because it's always the 5. It's never the 4 and the puppet. It's always the 5 kids, the Golden Freddy, Cassidy, and then the other 4. And there is evidence to say that the Fredbear plush being possessed, there is evidence to say that that could be the puppet, because if I'm saying that this red pigtail girl is siblings to whoever that final speaker is, there's little evidence to suggest it's both Cassidy or Charlotte, because of the green eyes for Charlotte, but the symbolism with all 4 being grouped together, all 5 being grouped together at the same time, seems to imply that. So, about the missing children incident being after the bite, this one seems like the most outlandish idea, but there are 2 main pieces of evidence that could suggest this. Basically, FNAF 3 and Into the Pit. Let's start with Into the Pit. That story, specifically the first one, revealed that 6 children had been murdered in 85. Now, we've never heard of 1985 in the games, and it seems like a weird date to include, but could it mean that MCI actually didn't happen before the bite? It happened in 1985. Now, what I said previously was that it could have started in 83 and ended in 85, but that just seems so far-fetched. It doesn't make much sense to say that. But there are some more problems with the 85, like there being 6 kids in that story, and other little details that don't make any sense. Now, the other thing that seems kind of disputable is one of Phone Guy's tapes in FNAF 3.
This is just a reminder of company policy concerning the safe room. The safe room is reserved for equipment and or other property not being currently used and as a backup safety location for employees only. This is not a break room and should not be considered a place for employees to hide and or congregate. And under no circumstance should a customer ever be taken into this room and out of the main show area. Management has also been made aware that the Spring Bonnie animatronic has been noticeably moved and would like to remind employees that this costume is not safe to wear under any circumstances.
He talks about how the spring locks have been decommissioned, but somebody's still using the Spring Bonnie suit. But then he mentions that no people should be taken into the back room. This would seem to imply that MCI is happening, but the Springlocks have been decommissioned, and Springlocks being decommissioned is likely the Bite of 83, so this would have to have happened after the Bite of 83. Well, I think I have a good explanation for all of this that ties in all the information and puts together a linear sense of what actually happened. So my overall explanation is just that, in this order, Charlotte was killed at Freddy's as the first murder, and this causes William to get temporarily banned from all Freddy's, like Junior's. Don't You Remember What You Saw is referencing the crying child witnessing Charlotte's murder, and somehow William knew that he saw that. Now, the missing children's incident then happens June 26th of 83, likely the night of the FNAF 4 Night 4 minigame. William is arrested as the primary suspect and now either banned from visiting Freddy's or in jail for the foreseeable future. The Bite of 83 then happens and the crying child is rushed to the hospital. The crying child gets visited by the missing children's incident spirits, or at least just the Fredbear plush spirit, which is either the puppet or Cassidy, as he dies. The Springlock suits are decommissioned due to the Bite of 83, and are not allowed to be used. William is allowed back at Freddy's and uses the Spring Bonnie suit again for some reason. He noticeably moves it, as said in the FNAF 3 tape, and then the safe rooms get sealed up due to all of this incident happening. That's the best explanation I could come up with that fits into a linear timeline, and there's only one thing I don't think I covered. It was a line spoken by the Red Pigtail Girl during FNAF 3 Night 3 minigame. She says, "You better watch out, I hear they come to life at night, and if you die, they hide your body and never tell anyone." My explanation for this is what happens in the minigame before this. On the day prior, we see William Afton helping someone into the spare Spring Bonnie suit in the back room. I'm pretty sure this was a murder, and this would kind of explain the rumors spread by kids. Some of the other small details could be explained away as kids causing drama and making a story a little more interesting. We know that kids never actually see the animatronics come to life or kill anyone, so this event was likely the root of the rumors and speculation. Now, with all that said, there's one small, itty-bitty detail that I've never heard covered that could be explained. When the crying child is locked in the parts and service room, at the end of the minigame, we don't get a "tomorrow is another day." We never hear from the Fredbear plush at that time. And how I thought of that is, what if William is doing the missing children's incident then, and that's how he... this is saying that the regular orange text is William talking through the Fredbear plush, but I was thinking, what if he is doing the missing children's incident at that moment, or setting it up because it happens at night? Well, this could happen at night, the him being locked in the room, but that's the reason he doesn't talk to the crying child through the plush, or isn't there. It's because he's busy over at Freddy's. That could explain that, and there isn't really another good explanation, as if the orange text is a spirit, then it would be able to teleport and always be able to talk to him, but it's so weird that it doesn't talk to him in that specific night. I can see why it wouldn't talk to him when he dies, but then he should have been talked to by the Fredbear plush. So that's all I've really got for this theory, and I am wondering what any of you in the comments think what happened in the missing children's incident. I do hope that Fazbear Frights, the next books, clear it up for us, but I am pretty sure the next stories will make it more confusing to solve, so this is just my guess for now. I do have a FNAF theory website, and a written out version of this theory is on that site to view, which has more audio logs and resources. It might make more sense, so go check that out. The link will be in the description, and thank you for watching.